Hello and thank you for joining us on the Hot Seat. Tonight we're coming to you live from Westlands, and that means we're having a conversation with the Westlands MP, Tim Wanyonyi. Karibu sana on the Hot Seat. How is it going? I see you have so many people waiting for you in the office.
Yeah, thank you very much. This is not even a quarter of people who come here. Even if you come here on a better day, you find people at the gate, from the gate all the way here. But today, I think they just suspected I was here.
The wind went out.
Yes, because we are actually not doing physical meetings,
Yes.
and they've been limiting the people I see. Even when I sit here, I cannot see more than 5 people at a time.
Okay.
Because it's not
So
safe.
let's say being an MP is a lot of work from what I can see.
It is a lot of work. That's what people don't appreciate.
Yes.
That when people make a lot of noise that we are overpaid, we are done what, we chuckle between so many things. I have to be in parliament, I have to be in committees, I have to be in the constituency, I have to be with my family,
Yeah.
and all those things. So it is just, you become a jack of all trades. So
And you learn to balance somehow.
you have to balance these things. Yeah,
Okay.
It is not easy. But, well, I think God cannot give you what you cannot handle. So we have learned to deal with it.
Oh, okay. Interesting. So now, before we come to the work that you do as MP, who is Tim Wanyonyi?
Tim Wanyonyi is a born-again Christian. I am a father of 3 children, and I'm married to 1 wife. I am a lawyer by profession. I'm also a civil society activist before I was elected. I worked in City Hall as a councillor for 5 years. Then I was elected as a member of parliament for Westlands for the last now 7 or 8 years going. And also I founded an organization called Kenyan Paraplegic Organization, which deals with issues to do with people with disability.
Oh, yeah.
And that one is still there. I'm the founding member, but I brought in other members. But it serves people with disability across the country, wherever they are. So those are many things that I do. And I thank God for giving me that chance to serve. And I love serving people.
I can see from the look of things.
Yes.
How would you describe your childhood? Did you grow up in Nairobi? Did you grow up in the village? Were you the only child? Of course, we know not, because we know one of your brothers.
Yes.
How is that?
I grew up in the village in Bungoma, partly there, but when I went to high school, I came to Nairobi. That's how my life in Nairobi started. But primary and in our time, we used to have O-level and A-level. I did my O-level in Bungoma in a school called Kibabi High School. I'm the 7th born in the family. My brother Moses is number 3. And we have many, in my family. My mother was gifted with giving birth to twins.
Oh, wow.
Yes, and she gave birth to 4 sets of twins.
What?
Yes, and I'm not a twin, but I have twins.
4 sets?
Yes, 4 sets of twins, which means all of us together were 14.
Wow. One mother.
Yes.
That's a huge family, but how is it being in a huge family?
It is interesting, it's nice. From Kibabi, I came to Nairobi School, this school behind here, as for my A-level, where I did my A-level for 2 years. Then I joined university. I studied a Bachelor of a BA, majored in political science. Then after that, I enrolled for law, and I did law in the University of Delhi in India. Yes, and then I finished. I came and joined Kenya School of Law, which I finished a diploma in, which is a requirement for everybody who has done law,
Yes.
whether locally or outside the country, that you must go to the School of Law. to do certain things. That's where now you learn procedure, how to practice or how to now apply the law you have learned.
Yeah.
So after School of Law, I was admitted to the role of advocates, and that was in 1996. And I worked under my brother's office law firm for 2 years. Then I set up my own law firm.
How was it now transitioning from your brother's law firm to your own law firm?
Actually, what happened was that after the 2 years, that's the time that I caught an accident, that
Yes.
I involved in an accident. And immediately I came back from hospital, back to work. The environment had completely shifted and it changed. The way people are looking at me are different. They thought now I was not able to do anything. And it went on and on like that, and I felt like, well, I'm not, I feel like I'm being wasted, or I feel useless, actually. So I told my brother about it. He thought I was joking, but I just told him anyway. I feel like maybe if I go on my own, I can try to establish myself or see what I can do on my own, so that people can believe that I can still work.
Yes.
We could not agree on that, but I had made up my mind. I left because my wife also supported me. She was for the idea. I went. I was so scared, but I felt it is better I go out there, whatever I'll do. I'll call it my own. So that's how I had to assert myself. Yes.
How hard was it to start up? I mean, I know there's so many young people in Kenya who always want to try to do business, but there's that fear of starting out. How different and difficult was it, and was it worth the risk?
The risk is real, and it's just, if you are a coward, actually, you cannot even venture. So you must feel that, because previously you are being paid a salary.
Yes.
You're not taking care of any bills, you're not taking care of anything. But all of a sudden, all these things are just looking at you. You have to pay bills, you have to pay rent, there's no salary. So if you have not made any money, at the end of the month, you just go like that.
Yeah.
And then you learn. For the first like 3, 4, 5, 6 months, even a year, you may not make up, you may not break through. And the only good thing is that the kind of satisfaction you get, you feel like, I don't want to go back where I came from, even if it is a comfortable zone, but I can continue here. Because now I feel I can control my own things, I can manage what I want to do, I can manage my time, I can manage anything. And luckily, I had clients who believed in me, and when I moved, they said, we go with you. And those are the people who gave me actually the confidence to start. And from there, I just now started looking, what else can I do? So I started looking at anything that I can do that can keep me busy or can make my ends meet. Then I got involved in business and everything, and that's it. So along the way, I think people should never fear to take risks. Risks are there. You may pan you up, whatever, but you must never fear to take a risk. And people who succeed in the life are the ones who take risks. So, because you never know what is awaiting for you out there.
Yes.
It can take long, but eventually you'll break through.
Interesting. That's good encouragement for, I think, most people who are trying to venture into business, because times are hard.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know, would you describe how the time you got the accident, how was that for you, and how did that change your life? Both physically, of course, we see, but mentally, emotionally, how was that?
It was very, very, very difficult. First, you go into a depression, and there's nothing as dangerous as when your mind is locked. When your mind is disconnected from your body, you are there physically, people look at you, you are fit, you are healthy, but your mind is sick completely. You are in a denial. You are like everything you see, you become very hostile. And if you are not careful, you can even scare people who want to help you or who want to be with you, because you get so irritated so easily, and on and on. But the worst thing is denial, saying you cannot accept this, and you keep on hoping that something will happen so that you get out of this situation.
Yeah.
So for you to get on, you have to get somebody to help you to unlock your mind, because depression is real and it can kill you. And people who go like that, eventually they withdraw completely from everything, from everybody, and degenerate into self-pity and all the kind of things. And with that, slowly you take yourself to the grave. But when you find somebody who can now take you through step by step until you realize that, oh, so I have just lost something, but I still have a lot I can do. I can still have a lot I can achieve in life. I can still be as useful as anybody else. It's only that you have a limitation. So that is something that people don't understand. When you see somebody depressed, sometimes we mistake them to be, maybe they're being rude, maybe they're being what. But if you get somebody to understand them, take them through a psychological training, they'll try and help. That person, by the time you open up to speak your fears and all that, it takes quite some time. But when it does, it's actually a major breakthrough, and you can always be very sure that you can now make it.
Ah.
Yeah.
Of course, now from sharing your story, this I'll tell you as a young person in the country, so many people have lost jobs, business, and I mean this since COVID happened. There are many people going through situations. I mean, businesses have closed, job loss and all that. What would be your message to such young people who are at a point of giving up? I mean, we're seeing suicide rates, gender-based violence, and all stems from this issue of job loss and business.
We are living in very, very unusual times that you can find all your life investment just disappears in a day. And you can find that a job you have been relying on has gone. You've been fired. You're going to start from nothing. So you have to find a way. What is it that you need to do to move on? And sometimes our biggest problem is that having the resilience to start again, or even adjusting yourself from one social status to another one. There's nothing shameful for you to change state. You must just learn to change. Human beings are supposed to adapt to issues, to a new environment and all that. If you are living in a house like this and you realize now you cannot afford the rent for this kind of house, you can find a house where you can afford and then move there. If you have a family, you prepare them and explain to them how you can deal with it. If you have been making money and you realize you are driving a car, now you cannot afford it, you can even sell that vehicle to enable you put money somewhere and begin again. It is just a way to adjust. But we must also help these young people, like the government today, to find a way on how a soft landing, platform, so that they don't really disappear. And it's also good to seek professional advice from people who can help you, realize that things have changed, yes, but it's not the end of life. You can pick up and move. And there are very many people who are helping people to realize that and then move on. The problem is that sometimes we let other people to determine our fate. I don't know what you'll think about me if you feel that I was staying in Loresho, but now I've moved. I'm staying in somewhere in Eastlands or whatever, or in some lesser place where you think is lesser. It's your life. It's you and yourself. So don't let people determine what you want to be or how you can live your life. Just be bold enough, make adjustment, and continue living. Because the moment you get stuck where you think your status put you there and you cannot afford it, it will kill you. You will be very, very depressed, and it's a bit dangerous. And that's something that, and it's not easy for somebody just to make that decision. They need even a professional help for them to adjust. Yeah.
All right. I hope many people take up that advice. Now, you go to your law firm practice. How was that, and how did you transition now into politics?
Practice, it was very interesting. It was, at first, before my accident, I was a courtroom lawyer. I'll go to court. I used to travel around the country all over the place to go and represent people in all manner of cases, criminal cases, civil cases, accident, all that, corporate. And then immediately after the accident, now it limited me. At that time, right now the courts are a bit accessible. You can go there even when I'm on a wheelchair. But before that, it was totally inaccessible. So now court was no course on for me. I had to find now to do my law on my desk and all that. So I adjusted to do that, but along the way, that was the way. I had to find the others to do the legwork. But as I said, I needed to diversify.
Yes.
And I kept on looking around because I realized the voice of people with disability is not heard anywhere, not in the government, not anywhere, no representation. So I took on a platform of politics. First, I was not even looking for an elective position. I just wanted to advocate for people with disability that even after election, they can be given a appointive position or they can be nominated in positions so that they can also have a voice to represent the one of their own.
Yeah.
That is how my introduction to politics be. But before then, my brother has been in politics since 1992. My father was also in politics. He was a councillor those days when we were still very young. So I used to campaign for my brother. Mm-hmm. But I had no interest in politics at that time. But until when I started campaigning for Raila Odinga, for presidential candidate 2007, that's when I realized how important it can be for me to be there, for my voice to stand on that platform, to speak and make demands and ask for people with disability to be given space, to be given a chance also to participate in the government and also in appointive positions. That's how but I'll also thank my Mrs. Aida Odinga. She's the one who actually planked me and brought me to that platform and encouraged me every time, because the first time she brought me to be one of the people who proposed the Prime Minister Raila Odinga at that time for presidential candidate. I proposed him as the presidential candidate on the platform when he was launching his presidential bid. So, and and she invited me in some of those very high-profile meetings, and that gave me actually now exposure to continue working on that. So after that, then I was given a nomination to City Hall. I spent there 5 years, and that was my learning before now.
This is now in which year?
2000 and after 2007 election, that's 2008, yeah. So from there to 2012 as a councillor in City Hall. Then after that, then I went for this position where I still have today.
Elected
But it was
position.
very difficult decision to make, because there was that Kafoi saying, wait for you to be nominated, you cannot be elected on a wheelchair, but I said I will go. You find that thing was there. Even with my family, we sat down and we talked.
And
And
speaking of family and talking,
yes.
how did your family take it that now you want to run for an elected post on ODM while your brother is a leader of another party?
Because my brother, that time he was in PNU. He was in Fort Kenya, then he joined, they went to, took a coalition with PNU. And politics about interest. And I learned my interest could work better when I was working with Raila Odinga. And he listened. Anytime I have an issue, I'll go to him and he will give me an advice, he will encourage me. And I did not seek my brother's audience to even join Raila, I just joined him. And we, at first we could not hear, we could not even speak to each other, but that was life. I told her, I've chosen my path, where you have yours, tutakutana mbele. Yeah? So
Yeah.
it was a tough choice, but with my family, before I went for an elective position, we had to talk a lot because you know how Kenyan politics is. Sometimes it's violent. Sometimes it's even, at that time, it was actually dangerous to go into an elective position. But we said, we will try, we cannot fear. So I went, one and one. At first I used to call, people look at me and say, aya, kwa nini unataka upitie nji? Yes, ungoje tu watakupatia. Kasema hapana, sitaki kungoja, let us just go.
And we go for it.
Let us go for it.
How was that experience of now being in competitive politics, not the nomination politics? Like you're on the ground, you're campaigning, you're on a wheelchair. It's Westlands, it's Nairobi. It's one of those places where competition is real tight.
It was tough. It was like what they call baptism with fire, where you learn swimming by somebody just throwing you at the deep end. And you'll sink, you'll swallow water, you'll do that, but in the process you learn. So I went, and by the way, there was nobody to introduce me and tell me, this is what you are supposed to do, or somebody campaigning me or taking me on a light path, telling me how to. I went with it myself. I'll call people sometimes, I don't even know what to tell them, but somehow I called people who just got interested. And everywhere I went, they followed me, and they would be very vocal and campaign for me. And I realized, anyway, it's not that bad. So we went on, and then the worst thing is that I was competing against people who have a lot of money. People Kamlesh Patni.
Yeah.
Some other Asian people, tycoons, who had a lot of money. And they will just sometimes wait. When I campaign here, the moment I leave, they go back to the same crowd.
And give them money.
And ask them, aliwapatia ngapi? Then, people now become cheeky. They tell them, alitupatia 500, and then they double it. So,
wow. Politics is rough.
On and on and on. But by the time we are going to election, I realized I was going to win because I had completely converted people to believe that actually I can do it. And at that time, most of those people were no longer seeing me in a wheelchair. They were just seeing Tim. They were, in fact, when I come, nobody stares the way they used to stare when I come for the first time. They look and then they see, hey, oh, now what is happening?
Yeah.
And again, I was going to replace somebody who used to be like larger than life.
Yes.
And people were expecting. Kuna wengine walisimamanga tu wakaniuliza, will you manage? Wewe nani alikuwa hapa? But I told them, no, it is me. You take me as me. Don't take me as the other person, because if I tell you I'll be like him, I'll be lying. I'll fail miserably, and I don't want to fail. So that was my take, and I realized in life, just try to be yourself. Don't try to be somebody else, and then when you fail, you don't know why you failed. But when you are yourself, if there's a mistake you make, you can adjust and still move on. Yeah, that's one of the lessons that I've learned when I'm playing this public life.
So now you get elected, of course, you now in parliament for the first time. How would you describe that experience?
Actually, it was like a dream. I used to feel when I entered that chamber the first day, I thought I was dreaming because I'd never even entered the parliament build compound before. And now here I am, I'm not just in the compound of parliament, I'm inside parliament.
As one of them.
As one of them, I'm being introduced, I'm being sworn in. And then you realize, yeah, now I am actually a member of parliament, I'm representing people. And on, and then you learn that you are so many of you who are new, because you try to get somebody and you think he's been there before, he tells you something. No, even me, I'm new. And then we learned, and then we realized it was also a new way of doing things. It was not the same way they were doing those days. Before us, the government used to be in parliament. No longer, now this time they were not there. We didn't have ministers in parliament. It was just us, members of parliament, and we had to. And the speaker, when we went for the induction, he told us, everything else will depend on yourself. You want to be a good member of parliament, you must balance yourself between representation in parliament and then representation when you are out of parliament. In other words, like the people you see here, why people will want to re-elect you again, depending on what you have done previously. But you can be very vocal in parliament and be very, you are absent on the ground, or you have a disconnect. So people read you in the newspapers, but when you come to your constituency, you are zero. So you find that person whom everybody read and admired, when they call the election, is beaten, is lost, because he forgot to balance the matrix that you must always remember. It is even better to be here. Speaker keep on telling us that our representation includes being in your constituency, and you must be in the constituency, however difficult it is. So you must be there, listen to the people, and address their issues. Sometimes along the way I've learned people don't always want money from you. They want you to hear them. And I sit here sometimes when there is no COVID. I listen to many people. People come and tell me their stories, what is affecting them, and sometimes you have given them a hearing, they just go. They tell you, Mheshimiwa, since I was born, I've never started, not even with an MCA, kunisikiza. But since you have given me that hearing, I'm very, very much okay. Wacha niende. And but I also learned I must start programs that can empower people to have a better life. So we started a program with women, with the youth, and on, border borders. Yeah. So I've done quite a bit of those things.
From what you're saying, you were rated as one of the best performing MPs a while back. What would you say pushed you to be among the best, and also what in particular would you say your people or your constituents rate you as a good MP?
Because I do what I say, and I say what I do because I am available. I can tell you, if I walk in Kangemi now, if we went with you, you'll see the number of people who will follow me. And they'll not follow me to abuse me, they'll follow me because some want to say hi, some want just to, to accompany me. And it is very rare that not many members will go back in their constituency after election and people embrace them. Because I'm available, I listen, I talk to them on phone, I pay school fees for their children, and on and on. These young fellows here, they just come here. Sometimes, if you ask them why they have come to do here, they just come to see me. Yes, and if I told them I don't have money today, they will just go.
Yeah.
And they will come some other time, because it's not always about money. And if you teach people that your work is just about giving out money, you'll be in trouble. Because the day you don't have, they will stone you. Me, I talk to them and I tell them, today sina kitu, and they will listen and say, okay, mwesh, tumesikia, na wanaenda. You can just see them, just walk away. Nobody will abuse you, nobody will say anything hard. Of course, in politics, you'll never lack people to oppose you. They are there, some disgruntled people who never see anything you do, whether it's good or not. They don't care. They'll just say anything to annoy you or something like that. Because personally, I don't participate in social media. I read those things, I don't comment, I just keep quiet. Because I realize if I start commenting, tutaanza kutukanana kwa hiyo social media. Yeah. So I keep off, and I have people who can deal with that. Those who can deal with that there, at that level. The moment mimi nikiingiza kichwa hapo, sasa itakuwa matusi na mtawezana. Yeah. And sometimes it is not good to lose respect with people. Let them, hata wale wanakutukana, if you meet them, they change, because and I realize maybe he was mistaken. He didn't know the team he was talking about. This is a different person altogether. They have come here, even those who abuse me, and I sit with them, and unaona jamaa anapatilika tu. Nasema I didn't know. Anyway, I was lied to. But for you to be to represent people, you must learn to listen more than you speak. You must learn to listen to these people. You must learn to identify with their problems when they have issues, because these people always have small issues which sometimes it is beyond their capability to handle. So once you have learned to listen to them, then you'll identify and help them solve that small issue. And as I said, when we started women empowerment, we started a table banking program with women. These women actually started now realizing they can solve their own problems by just having that money, that little money they have. And many of them who used to come here to ask me for rent, for school fees, it just stopped. And I started saying, kwani hawa mama siku hizi hamunitaki ama nini? Then they tell you, mheshimiwa, suli tusaidia tukapata pesa. Yes. Siku hizi hata si hata wazee wetu tunanunulia, we give them money. So it is that bit that sometimes disconnects we members of parliament or leaders from the people. Yeah. Then you realize actually you have lost it by going this direction. Me, last election, actually I campaigned, but I was almost 70% sure I was going to be elected.
Because you've done your...
Yes. So it is just about you and you.
What will the people of Westlands remember you for if you don't go back as an MP?
I think they have so many things they can remember me for. They remember me as a person who came and changed the way their schools look. I have saved schools, I have saved places where you can do public utility. So I believe, and also I've set up in Westlands. It's one of the most peaceful places in Nairobi, I believe, because I have engaged the security, the police, and the people, and they connect very well. When there's fire, when there is people will call the police, they have their numbers. These young fellows who ride motorbikes, before I came, they were having issues with the police. I called a meeting between them and the police. We sat down and we agreed on the issues that the police have been using to harass them. we sorted them out. For example, taking them to school to get licenses and all that, and knowing the law, it ended. And actually, we have done quite a bit with all manner of even creating a bridge between those who think are the rich and the poor, and all that. So it is something that it just requires your commitment to do something for the people. And once they realize that you can make them reach where they cannot reach themselves, then they have a lot of confidence in you.
Right.
Yeah, because I used to find like some places, these very big homes, they have got a fear syndrome, that they fear these people who stay in a slum, next slum there. But I went to ask them, you fear these people, and they're the same people working in your home. They are the watchmen, they are your house help, they are your gardeners. If they want to do anything to you, they will do it because they have access to your home. So it is better you learn to live with them than having that fear, closing yourself all over the place. Allow them and also give them that freedom to know you, and then they will protect you. Yes.
There's something you've touched about, borrowing, and of course it's become a concern to most Kenyans, to a point we're having petitions on Twitter about guys asking IMF to stop loaning Kenya. Do you think with our level of debt that's sustainable?
It is actually reading the red line, because the government has been very easy at going to collect or borrow, both local and external. And they have, in the process, they have even taken very expensive loans. And this is giving us a really worrying situation as a country, because right now every child who is being born has got a debt situation on his head or her head. And this is something that we must now learn. How do we roll back? How do we move away from this situation? What we have learned is that we have let our economy to degenerate and become a consuming economy. Our industries have collapsed, and you cannot grow if you don't have your own industries. If you just become an importing economy, you import everything, definitely you will end up, you are not making any money. You are actually paying money to foreigners than what we are doing. So for us to must wake up to a reality and say, how do we reclaim ourselves as a country? Kenya is not a poor country. It's just mismanagement of our resources that has led us to reach where we are. It is the corruption that is there in some of the high places that has enabled us to reach where we are. If we allow individuals to steal and siphon money from our government, then we end up just like this. Why would you allow somebody, a single person, to run away with billions of shillings? That's the situation where, and for me, if we want to build this thing, it must start from the top. It cannot start from anywhere. It must start from the top. The top must take responsibility. If you come to occupy those top positions, you must come there with a zero tolerance to corruption. And it must start with you, with your family, and with the people around you. The moment you allow to compromise, then you lose it. You lose it completely. So we must just learn, how do we deal with this situation, save the money. We have a lot of money in this country. Safaricom can make 12 trillion from M-Pesa alone. What is it else we are looking for? If we can have 3, 4, 5 companies like Safaricom in this country, why do we have to look outside for money? They can just go to Safaricom and borrow the money. Because if our budget, our national budget is 3 trillion, and we're having a company here that is making more money than, yes. So it means that the economy can work. but we must have good managers.
Do you feel as MPs or as Parliament you failed in the fight against corruption?
Parliament has not failed, but you realize everything that happens, even the agenda of Parliament, is set by the executive. The bills we debate and pass are initiated by the executive. So when the executive are bringing these bills to Parliament, they have an agenda, they have a policy, they have whatever it takes that those bills must pass. So when they bring those bills, we can amend, we can do ABCD, but they will just go back the same way they came. So Parliament is there to make sure, to oversight, but we cannot stop them. You realize now these guys have been so dependent on loans that today, if we just stopped those things, I think this government can collapse, and it will bring a lot of bad things, and it is always better, however miserable the government is, to have it there than not to have it, because the moment you don't have it, you create a vacuum and you will create a chaos in this situation. You will see groups emerging. This one is controlling this, that one is controlling that. It's better we have that inept government there and we manage them wherever way, so that we have actually tried to control this thing, and that's why when Uhuru Kenyatta could maintain Rotich in treasury for 6 or so years, to me it was absurd. Rotich was doing nothing. He was not looking internally how he can make money, but every time they read the budget, they have a big cap in the budget, which they are basing on going to borrow the money. And that's how now the debt situation rose from what Kibaki had to where we are today.
So how will the Wananchi get themselves out of this situation now that we are headed to an election period?
Elect the right people in place, and we stop this hullabaloo of just imagining that the only person who can serve you is a person from your community. It doesn't work that way. We must just look at who are these competent Kenyans that can work and deliver to us things that can be done. You know, I can tell you for sure, the CDF money that we are given in our constituencies, if you realize you go to we are given the same amount from every constituency. But if you go to the same constituency, you'll find that some constituencies have done very well with the money, others have not done. So you just find that it is actually about the capacity of somebody who understands what is supposed to be done, and also to know that this money is not your money. It's the money for a function that has been given. So the moment you learn to distance yourself from that, then you'll know that actually just be contented with what you are being given. You have a salary, and you have, some other things that you can do, but don't tip your hand into the basket that you've been given to serve the people.
So as we wrap up, you've done 8 years as the Westlands MP. What's next for you?
My next, my promise was I will serve 2 terms and exit. And I think I've done what I can do. I believe I can now serve in another role, maybe as a governor of Nairobi. That is
running for the post.
That is my first goal, governor of Nairobi. If the county government of Nairobi may not be in place at that time, then I will go for a cabinet minister, because I know we are going to have ministers in parliament.
That's if BBI goes through.
If BBI goes through.
But if Nairobi County doesn't work, you're coming back to Westlands?
Yes, because for you to be a minister, you must be a member of parliament. So that is...
If BBI fails?
BBI fails, Nairobi will be there, I'll go for governor.
All right, we wish you the very best, Mheshimiwa.
I'll go for governor, and I know I can win it.
So what's your final message to, of course, your constituents in Westlands and the Kenyans at large?
For the people of Westlands, I would like to say thank you for giving me a chance to serve you, and I'll do my best to serve you for the period you have given me. I have 5 years to work for you, and I'll make sure that I deliver on everything and anything that I promised. If I'm not able to achieve it because we have had this difficult time of the COVID, but you will know that I'll have done at least 80% of what you have given me. And I promise I'll do my best to deliver. And for the people of Kenya, please don't lose hope. Let's keep going. Let us re-examine ourselves. And as we are going to the election, please try to remember that it's better to go out there and elect people who will serve you better than you staying away. Don't boycott the election. It is your duty. Please go out and elect the right leaders for this country. This country needs you. This country needs me. So I wish you all the best, but please stay safe. COVID is real. Go for the jab. When you hear they're injecting people around you, please go and take a jab. We need you. Kenya, we love you, and we always be good citizens of this country. God bless Kenya.
So Mheshimiwa, thank you so much. We wish you the very best, and it was so much interesting getting a lot of insights from Westlands here.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight on the hot seat. Of course, we've been speaking to the Westlands Member of Parliament, Tim Wanyonyi, and as he said, he's going for the top seat in Nairobi. I hope you make a wise decision as a Nairobian. Have a good night. Thank you for watching.